Well, Deanna, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this testimonial. I want to say right off the bat that this is going to be an impressive interview. Last time we saw you was a whole year ago. You finished the knee program almost exactly a year ago. It was the 27th and today is the 26th. So talk to us about the knee. You're super successful and I can't wait for you to tell your story. What were your knees feeling like when you first called us a year ago?
Yeah, they were swelling up. We would go out with our family to do like games, things that would be, I think one was a bow and arrow game where you make teams, and I would finish that and my knees would be swollen up. I'd try to go running or walking or play tennis, the knees would swell up, and it wasn't getting better. So I said, I've got to do something different. Found you guys. I think I found you guys on Facebook.
Might have been
like
Facebook.
That. Yeah. And then I knew surgery was not a choice for me. So came here and learned about your anti-inflammatory foods and the different therapies, band therapies, light therapies, laser therapies, and things. Some of it I had to do at home.
Yes.
Some of it you all did. And about 2 weeks after I started here, I hired a coach, sort of a nutrition/exercise coach, and started doing the weightlifting, the walking and increasing, and learning about macros, just getting educated on eating.
Wow.
Yeah, and I haven't stopped since then. I'm trying to improve all the time.
And you are doing amazing. So amazing, though. You offered to come in and tell us your story because what happened was a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, I think.
October 8th, I was able to run in and complete a half marathon up in Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah.
Pretty good time. I think it was 15, let's see, anybody remember?
It was a 15 minute pace.
18-second average pace.
Yes.
It took us 3 hours and 18 minutes, I think, to get across the finish line. It was a run walk, but we were running the entire time with walking interspersed. So it was no easy thing.
No easy thing.
No easy thing. I respected everybody in front and behind me that you knew that you were out there putting out the effort.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure that my knees could handle that. I had done practiced and trained, had done a 10-mile walk run.
Yeah.
So I knew that if I could do 10, I could probably do 13.
We do 13.
Yeah. So 13 is harder than 10. I did find out.
I've been there, done that.
But even though I had a little hip pain and was sore afterwards, but by the middle of the night, feeling better, moving better, the next day was better. You have a little recovery.
Did the knees swell up?
No.
They didn't swell up. And by the way,
no.
for the record, 13.1.
13.11.
And that 13, I remember mile 12, 13, and then even the 0.1 were some of the toughest ones.
She ran very hard that last 0.1.
Yes, my partner is faster than I am, and I was determined to keep up with him.
No, tell the truth.
Okay, so we got to the finish line, and he's like, okay, let's make a good showing.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was going to try to beat him.
Okay.
And that didn't happen. I was a little bit behind him. And he turned and he said, I slowed down so we could cross together. And I said, oh, you need to know what I was thinking.
I was giving it my all. I was trying to crush you.
I was trying to beat you. But
he had to say that.
Keeping up with him made me have to work harder. I was working harder. I think.
Sometimes we need that push, and that reminds me of Sid and Joshua and the stretching they do and the therapies that we send home. Sometimes we need someone to push us to go beyond what we think is possible.
Yes, just alone deciding to eat anti-inflammatory foods is because what can I eat? That's a whole new, so you give yourself that edge. Later, I did add back in a few things, but and then doing the treatments and the nasty tasting sometimes. Nitric oxide.
That's okay.
But I still drink it today. I like, I've gotten used to it, and I think it's beneficial.
Good.
So all of it, going out walking, well worth it. And I hope to continue to do these types of half marathons or whatever I would like to do. Is what I want to do.
I don't see why you couldn't.
And what you see is a tribute to her perseverance.
Yes.
You well know that it's hard for people to stick with this, especially once they sort of leave the organized visits, every week or two. Or
get all the support you can from your partner. If you can hire a coach or Maybe you have a local YMCA and you can get a trainer, that kind of thing. Do everything you
Absolutely.
can, commit to it, and a year later, running the half marathon, run walking.
That's
The half
amazing.
marathon, yeah.
Talk to this person who's watching. There's one person here who's watching it now who's been told, I'm bone on bone, or I have really bad arthritis. I don't think anything else can help. In other words, this person's skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
Were you skeptical when you first came in?
I was, but I knew I wasn't doing surgery.
Yeah.
So this was my option.
Right.
And I just went in not absolutely knowing the outcome, but knowing that I was going to commit to everything I was asked to do.
Perfect.
And I did it with full commitment.
You sure did. And what advice would you have for the skeptic who's watching?
I ran a half marathon.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well said. I'm so proud of you. I don't know if it's okay for me to say that, but that is
absolutely
an accomplishment. For some of our patients, an accomplishment to walk to the mailbox. But for you, it's a half marathon.
Yeah, and I would just say
Wow.
the diet part, or understanding eating and what I would call resources, is important too. I learned that I wasn't eating enough protein. I wasn't eating enough calories. I didn't realize, so those are your resources maybe that help go to heal your knees when you're in all this other process. So learn everything you can to support yourself. And that weightlifting was very important to aging.
Thanks for saying that as an older person, but not only that, as a female, right? Because there's this whole thing, well, it's okay for males to lift, but females, we don't want to lift. And that is so important.
Very important. Your weight, keeping your muscles in good shape helps you with longevity and with movement, and knowing what to eat and how much to eat helps you with resources, with the healing.
Yes.
So it all works together.
She inspired a lot of people, male and female, at the Y.
Yeah.
Just because she kept showing up and they could see her improvement, and they showed up too.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's easy, because when you commit to, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day, and I've worked up to that.
Yeah.
That's every day. And that's
day.
like the end of your workday, it's 5 p.m. and you've got to go walk.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the winter. I committed to walking in the winter, got the gear to be warm, so I didn't have an excuse. The Y, 3 times a week. We lift at home. We have some weights at home now, so I can do some of that and go to the Y. But I mean, it's the evening and you'd rather sit down and watch TV, but it's like, well, no, I'm going to do this instead. Or maybe your lunch break, or early morning if you can.
It's like an investment.
It is.
Well, it is an investment. And when, my patients are like, well, if I'm going to invest, whether it's real estate, mutual funds, or in myself, what am I going to get out of it? And so you've gotten energy, you've gotten muscle. I don't know if you're okay with it, but maybe on this video, with your permission, I'll show your picture, because she looks.
Just before and after.
This is before and after. Like, you guys aren't going to believe this right here. She looks amazing. And the before picture, I'll just say it, you were swollen, you were puffy. You didn't look like the vision of health that you're exuding today.
And that probably in part was the anti-inflammatory change.
Yes.
And then the, building muscle and
lifting,
walking,
the running. You're doing what humans are supposed to do, basically.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying
this
to
is
tell
a
people.
lifestyle now. It wasn't just, I'm going to do it till my knees feel better. It's, my knees are better, so I want to do more. And she just
I'm more
extending.
athletic today at 64 years old
Yeah.
than I was in my younger years. Absolutely more athletic and more
that just
toned.
feels good.
Yes. So I look forward to the next whatever years as being fully vigorous.
This is
I
incredible.
look forward
Kudos
that
to you.
too.
Kudos to you. What an accomplishment. I mean, almost like a rebirth, if you will.
Resurrection, I call it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So
Well, thanks again.
the knees going, getting to that impossible state, I've got to do something, then opened the door for this next part, which was even more than I was doing before. Yeah.